Hey everybody, Sanavi here, and today I want to take a little bit of time to talk about what are my plans during the league start weekend for my Atlas tree. I've gotten a lot of questions since I posted my Cyclone Shockwave Slayer video yesterday. Hey, what league mechanics are you planning to farm? What are you planning to do with your Atlas tree? So let's take a little bit of time to address those questions. The primary concern I have during a league start weekend is how quickly can I get into T16s. And I don't want to have to deal with trading other players for maps. The currency exchange market is not going to have that function. So you're still going to have to use the trade sites. You're still going to have to go to other players' hideouts and deal, with trading things in person. Me personally, I just want my Atlas tree to help me generate as much maps as possible, and I want those maps to constantly be rolling a tier higher if possible. So with this setup, we're going to end up having 64% chance that when we kill a monster, it drops a map connected to the one that we're currently doing on the Atlas. And we get that from these small nodes right here. So you want to pick up as many of these as possible. The second thing that we want to do is grab these shaping clusters. So the one on the left, on the right, and up above. And this makes it so that maps that are found have a 15% chance to become one tier higher on the notables and a 5% chance on these smaller ones. So with this setup, we're going to have an 85% chance that when maps drop, they roll a tier higher. And the last thing we want to get is these Kirak mission nodes. And this makes it so that when we complete maps, there's a chance that we get additional Kirak missions. Kirak missions are really good at being able to get an extra chance at completing maps that you need for your Atlas progression. So this is the foundation of what we're going to use, or what I'm planning to use for my Atlas tree to push to T16s as quick as possible. Now, as far as league mechanics go, because I'm playing Cyclone, I want something that's kind of in a confined area, and so things that come to mind are Ultimatum. Another thing that comes to mind is Ritual. Those are really, and then I guess Expedition, if you go into like this keystone right here, that makes it so that you just place down the one boom and it blows everything up. This is extremely dangerous early on. If your build isn't quite defensive enough, this can be very rippy. And I kind of always do Expedition, so I want to do something different. So that kind of leaves Ultimatum and Ritual. Ultimatum, I think, is going to be really good because now the monsters can drop items, but I think a lot of duo and trio players are going to farm that, especially if they have like an aura bot. It's going to trivialize the downside that the ultimatums provide, and it can also get pretty rippy doing that. So I think the best option that I want to try out is going to be Ritual. I think Ritual is kind of a gamble mechanic, but they've added two things in particular that I think might help with making money, which is the corpses. I think there's going to be a demand for the corpses even with the nerfed auras. And there's the chance of getting the King and the Mist fragment, which is going to be, I think, going to sell really well because the Light of the Meaning, i.e. Parandus Pact, is a really good jewel that a lot of builds are going to want. And then there's just a chance of getting currency from the, Ritual reward window and various items and whatnot. So we're going to go Ritual as our primary league mechanic. So once we get our foundation of our Atlas squared away for T16 progression, we're going to spec into this Ritual cluster over here, and this just gives us a chance at getting additional Ritual altars on our map. The other league mechanic we're going to do, by the way, is Essences. Essences are just kind of a tried and true way of just getting currency, and we're also going to use them for crafting gear. So we're going to pick up this Essence little cluster right here, and this just makes it so that our maps contain an additional imprisoned monster, which is going to make it so that we always have an Essence on our maps. So we're going to grab those two to start off. Then we're going to work our way up the left side of the tree, and we're going to grab this Essence cluster over here. And this just makes it so that imprisoned monsters have a 15% chance to drop an additional 3 Essences, which is really, really nice. So we're going to grab that. Then we're going to continue up the left side of the tree, and we're going to grab, sorry, that wasn't on the display there. So we're going to grab that Essence cluster here, and then we're going to make our left way up the tree, and we're going to grab this Ritual cluster up here, which gives us more chance at altars, and then it makes it so that monsters spawn faster and more monsters spawn, which increases the amount of tribute that we'll have to cash in at the reward window. And then the notable makes it so that there's a 15% chance that we get a blood-filled vessel, These are really nice because you can stick them in your map device when you do future maps, and it's going to buff those altars that you run on those maps so that they have more monsters and more tribute. So we're going to grab that. We're then going to continue up the left side of the tree and grab this ritual setup up here. And this is going to make it so that we can defer items for reduced cost. Deferring an item in ritual basically means that sometimes something will appear on the reward screen. You know, maybe you get really lucky and a mage blood shows up, but you're not going to have the tribute to buy it. So you can defer it to show up on future maps when you get new reward screens. This is just going to make the cost of getting it down the road cheaper, and then the notable makes it so that it's cheaper and also it reappears sooner. So we go for this over here. Now there's two different types of Eldritch altars that you can do in, as you progress into maps. There's Searing Exarch and there's Eater of Worlds. Searing Exarch is going to give you more consistent currency generation early on, so i.e. chaos and bubblegum stuff. Eater of the Worlds is more kind of a gamba. There's a chance with Eater of the Worlds that you can get a divine altar, and if you get that, then monsters on your maps can drop divines. It's super rare for you to get that, so i.e. it's more of a gamba, but if you want to do that, at this point I would grab this teleportation node, and then you can just come over here, and then you can spec into the Eater of Worlds cluster over here if you want to go that path. I probably wouldn't take this bottom one until I probably wouldn't take this bottom notable or keystone until your build is a little bit beefier, because it's going to make it that there's an additional downside, so it's going to make the monsters a little bit more ribby. But if you feel comfortable enough, you can take that. It's going to give you 50% increased effect of the good stuff that can happen. If you want to go for more consistent currency generation, once again, i.e. chaos and bubblegum, which I think is going to be really good early on, what I'm personally going to do is not do Eater of Worlds. I'm going to do the Exarch setup over here. And if my build feels really good, I'll take the keystone. This just, once again, makes it so that there's a 50% chance to have additional upsides, but the downsides are going to be 100% worse. So it's just going to be how good is my build feeling. If it's not too good, I'll just not take it. Once I grab that, the next thing I'm going to do is jump over here and grab these ritual nodes. This is going to make it, once again, more altars and also reducing the costs when I have to re-roll favors. And then I'm also going to pick up this side one. This is going to make it where we get 2 additional times where we can re-roll favors on the reward screen, which just means that if we don't like what we see on the reward screen, we can essentially refresh the reward screen and get different options. So once we grab that, then we're going to head all the way up here, and we're going to grab this last ritual setup. And this is going to make it so that we get more tribute, and then we always get 4 altars on our maps instead of 3. I'm also going to grab these 2 nodes. This is going to give us 50% increased special reward chance, so maybe getting those King of the Mist fragments or better corpses. At this point, we're looking at about 100 points into our Atlas tree, which means we've probably completed the Atlas tree, or we're very close to doing so, and we can start dropping some of these bottom points. So you'll probably have gotten a couple Orb of Regrets, or you can trade for some Orb of Regrets. What I would do at this point is I would drop these nodes here, because we're not going to need the additional chance at getting connected maps anymore. And we've probably also done at this point the campaign Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds, which means we're going to have those Void Stones that give us the 50% tier higher on map drops. So we can drop out of all these points, and we can drop these over here. So now we have 30% from these 2 notables, and then we have another 20% or so from the small ones, which is going to give us that 50%, plus the 50% from the Void Stones is going to give us 100% chance for our maps to drop 1 tier higher. And then that gives us a bunch of points that we can use. So to finish out our starter Atlas tree, we're going to grab all of these quantity nodes up here. This is going to give us flat increase on item quantity drops for monsters. We're then going to grab this essence setup over here. This gives us a chance of having additional imprisoned monsters in our essence like essence things that spawn on the map, and then it makes the essences roll a tier higher, which will make the monsters more difficult, but it's going to make the essences more valuable. And then we're going to grab the central area right here, these 3 nodes. These are especially nice because we're going to get 15% increased rarity of items found, and then the 3% item quantity increase too. And then at this point, we've grabbed all the essence ones I want to get, and we've grabbed all the ritual. I am then going to go into scarabs, so I'm going to pick up this scarab cluster here, so just more scarabs found. This scarab cluster here is going to make it so that 200% increased chance for scarabs to drop from unique monsters. We're going to grab this scarab set up here. Rare monsters have a 50% increased chance to drop scarabs per mods affecting them. And then I'm going to grab this scarab set up over here, and this is going to give us more scarabs, and then especially more essence scarabs, which you can use to beef up essence, the essence mechanic. And now we're sitting at about 112 points on the Atlas tree. This is probably how many points you're going to have outside of doing all the special encounters like the feared and the hidden and things like that. So this is realistically what you can expect to be working with once you like have completed your Atlas, but you haven't done like all of the kind of end game bossing stuff. So this is what I'm planning to do for League Start, Ritual, and Essence, and pushing Atlas progression for T16s with all the bottom nodes that I discussed earlier. Hopefully this helps some of you out. If you don't want to do Ritual, we are on the left side of the tree, so you could spec out of all of the Ritual stuff like this. And then you're going to have roughly 30 points where you could use for, you could go and do Blight if you really want to. You could do Bestiary if you really want to do Beasts, because that's also on the left side of the tree. You could even do Delirium. I don't usually recommend Delirium, like, you know, the first few days, because people aren't going to really have the currency for the rewards from Delirium, and it's also going to make the content really hard, so you may not be there yet with your build. But yeah, you have those different options on the left side tree if you don't want to do Ritual. So that's my plan. Hopefully that helps, and thanks for watching. I'll catch you all later.